Welcome to Cult America. On today's episode, we meet one of Poland's largest education YouTubers, Artur Filipowicz, better known as Topowa Dycha. Artur, welcome to the program, old friend. How you doing?
Great, thank you for your invitation. I was doing live in a lot of time ago. I don't even remember when.
So for those of you who don't know Artur, he is an absolute YouTube legend. And I guess at this point we want to emphasize legend, yeah? Because yesterday when I was speaking to you on the phone, I felt like maybe you feel that you're beyond your prime.
Yeah, a little bit. This whole project started, I think, 8 years ago, and it's like YouTube changed a lot. The whole being an influencer changed a lot. Like the times are changing. There are new people producing, people who left video production, and went completely different way. And I think I'm kind of becoming a dinosaur when it comes to YouTube, but it's still going strong, and I'm really happy with the direction the channel is taking. So yeah, and here I am.
Well, I look at it differently. I think that you're going to a different level of grandeur in a sense, because you and I have been associated for basically a decade now. And when people ask me, what channels were you involved with? I always mention Topowa Dycha because that's the one channel I know everyone's going to know. And so it's kind of like my little claim to fame working with you. But you had an interesting start. So you initially wanted to make movies. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I started with the video, I think at the perfect moment, because when I was in high school, I was 16, I won a video camera. And at first I wanted to sell it. And I think I wanted to buy a PlayStation, but I've started to find online video tutorials about editing, about special effects. And I started to record my videos with my friends, and I wanted to make short videos. And at that time, the only way to work in a video was either you finish film school or you have some friends in the industry that are going to introduce you to some companies or teach you. And I think at that time, it was 12 or 13 years ago, it started changing because, first of all, the equipment that could record in a digital format was much more available to everyone. And also, finally, online, you could find tutorials like how to do it and how to edit and how to do everything, basically. So I was still thinking in this old school way that I have to go to film school, and I've tried 3 times. I think at the third time I tried, I was most experienced, but I got the worst effect because at the first time I was 18. I was in the last, I think, 15 or 20 people who could join the film school, and it's 8 people a year they take for being a director. And someone asked me from the commission, who is going to watch this movie? I don't think this movie is for anyone. I don't think anyone's going to be interested in watching this video. And I said to him that it's already on YouTube, and it got 50,000 views already, only in Poland. And I could hear the whispers around the whole room of people who were judging what I brought. I didn't get in. I went to study journalism, and I think that was a good idea because I could taste a little bit of everything, of radio, newspapers, internet, and TV. And at this moment, I think the time started to change a lot, and making online video was much more needed and for a lot of websites necessary. So I started working in the industry, and we met, and then YouTube came.
Indeed. Well, I just love that story so much. And I actually frequently tell people that because on one hand, I can kind of understand the perspective of the film snob. Yeah, the person who is the gatekeeper to a career. But times have changed, and you pointing that out, I think, was a very, very harsh reality. What I do know about ambitious film is that for 50,000 people to see a given work is basically unprecedented. And most independent or ambitious films we don't even hear of. Your story is contrary. You know, not only Topowa Dycha, but you made many, many, many YouTube channels we did together over the years and created hundreds of millions of views. And, you know, be it Topowa Dycha or I hope you don't mind me giving a little reveal, but like Punky, you really had a lot of vision for that one as well. Whatever you touched turned into a hit. And so
Thank you.
I think it's like you've got Motown in Detroit and everything they made was a hit. I feel like you're kind of that for Polish YouTube. But you really gravitate towards education and you never got crazy or carried away with being a star. I'm curious, what was it like for you when you went from being kind of a shy, kind of a nerdy, let's be honest, film guy into this rock star YouTuber with, you know, people coming up to you all the time? I remember we used to do those meetups in stadiums and like whole stadiums of people would know you. What was that like, that journey?
Yeah, it's crazy, and it's something I'm never gonna forget. And I think like getting opportunity like that, it's like once in a lifetime. And right now, probably plenty of people have that on TikTok. And you know, from being person that's like living a normal life, and 2 years ago, there are people who recognize you on the street. That can get into your head pretty quickly. But I think. It's a huge problem for influencers, especially right now, because I remember watching some documentaries about Disney stars, and most of them end up in rehabs or they have psychological problems because of the fame they get. And for the most of the online creators, they don't have that. Like often they started to earn more than their parents pretty quickly, and from like typical high school kids, they become famous and they meet other people who are famous online, and it can be either good or bad influence. So
Yeah, well,
when I watch a video when someone says like, listen guys, I'm depressed and I'm feeling sad and I lost my will to live, I believe these people. Like I really believe that, you know, having, especially, you know, for me it's different because I've always made content based on something, not about my life. But if you have to fake smile for 1-2 years, and every time you turn the camera, you have to be happy and smiling, that can get into your head quickly. And people don't realize, I think, like how hard it can be without any guidance. Because once you cut yourself from your parents, from teachers, and you're 18 or even younger, like who are you gonna listen to? The only thing that matters then are the views and money, because that's like what people look for when they, you know, compare each other.
kind of a key moment when I realized how big this was all becoming was I was visiting Hotel Arłamów, and they have a little bookstore there. And in the bookstore was a section for kids with some magazines. And on the cover of this magazine, I saw you as Topowa Dycha. You might remember it was Tube News. And do you keep those mementos? Does that mean something to you to have been in this spotlight?
Yeah, of course I have some some old stuff. It's gonna be fun to tell my grandchildren in the future about it. As I said, I think it's like one moment you can get in your life, and like better to keep it as a good memory and like get experiences from that. I think what I learned the most is that end of the day, like you need to still be yourself. Like you still need to keep your friends from, you know, from the, let's say, past. And these are the people who are going to be the closest to you. And the thing is that a lot of people, you know, when they think about like views and subscribers, they see it in a way that if you have more, it's better. But for me personally, when I, for example, talked with different creators, I was always more interested in what they are doing. Because if someone has a super interesting channel with like a small amount of views, this person could be much more interesting, or the content this person is creating could be much more interesting than the huge hit.
I completely agree. Actually, a lot of the channels I watch these days are niche. So we have your backstory, and there's much more to it. Give this video a thumbs up, and maybe Artur will come back and I'll reveal some of the very funny adventures we had together. But now I want to kind of turn the page and speak about something a little more serious. The attacks by Russian bots and being a Polish YouTuber in the times of misinformation. So, Artur, you work in education or informative type content, and I know that from the beginning that was quite controversial at times. How have things changed as the information wars have really taken shape online?
So my channel is connecting education and entertainment, and in the past it was, I think, more on the entertainment side. But I think like my viewers grown a lot. Like some people say, they watched me as a kid, so I've decided that for some time I'm trying to do from time to time more serious topics. And when the whole Corona thing started and when the war started, a lot of creators started to do news. And I think that was like the worst decision that a creator like that can do. Because if you talk with experts, then it's completely fine. But if you focus on the news and just want to get views out of that and talk about unverified information or things you can't talk about because you don't have enough knowledge, then it becomes really dangerous. So I've talked only about like the Corona very briefly, and about when the war broke, I've decided that I don't really want to talk about this topic. But on all the videos I was doing, I started to see some kind of narrative happening, like all the videos I've made in the past, a little bit connected with the Eastern countries. There was a lot of comments happening, and I've realized that it's not good what's happening. So I'm not gonna touch the news side of this thing. I'm just gonna talk about the information war that was happening even before that, and that's very important. That the whole information war was happening for years. So first video I've made was based on this book I have here. It's called Trolls of Putin by Jessica Arrow. She's a Finnish journalist who's working on the Russian influence online and offline in press. And I've made a video about the information war that's happening and, of course, the Russian influence. It was 10 facts about Russian trolls. And I wanted people to know the basics about what to look for, what's dangerous, and how like these groups operate. And here I want to specify that it's very important to make a clear division between people who are paid to do it, people who work in companies that their mission is to spread this kind of narrative, and people who just buy into that and believe that. Because first of all, there was some research done at the beginning of war that some of the Facebook fan pages that were anti-vaccine, they started to make pro-Russian posts at the beginning of war. And I had people in the comments writing me like, oh, so that means if I'm not vaccinated, I'm a Russian troll. And I was answering these comments like, if you've listened to the video, like if you have been paid to do both, then yeah, you're right. That's who you are. But if you haven't been paid, you just, and you support both of these things and you believe that means you just, believe what they write and what they spread. So that's important thing to like have these two things like divided: people who buy into that and people who are paid to spread messages like that.
Wouldn't you argue that the people who buy into it are actually a very desirable effect for the people trying to create, societal shaping via bots?
Yeah, that's what they want to have. But talking about the whole thing, it's very important to divide it into two parts, because these people and these people are totally like different group. And also, I think like the biggest mistake people make when they talk about like the information war and like the spreading of information war, and this is happening for a long time, and it's made by different countries, different groups. But in this case, it's like these people operate, and for example, like about what I talked about, like if you read about Cambridge Analytica and how they influence different elections, that was their strategy. It's like they operate on both sides. They operate on far left and far right. So
Yeah.
like both sides see that, okay, so the other side has to be crazy. The other side has to be bought. But end of the day, it's like on both sides you have these people who are extreme and they are not authentic. Like I believe some people are paid and some people are not. Like it's not like they agree to make some narrative, but
Yeah.
they are influenced in a positive way. Like they got some donations, some money, and they grow strong in this way.
As far as I understand it, propaganda is as old as time, but within our lives, I've never seen such emotional reaction to a difference of opinions. And the thing that really frightens me about that, if you consider all the people you know who have radical political ideologies, like you said, to the right or to the left, both being equally as crazy, by the way, and you can't see your own biases, it makes me wonder, what bots are we buying into? Like, for me, there should be no assumption that you, Artur Filipovich from Topowa Dycha, are above that. I mean, what is the propaganda that we can't see? Have you ever pondered that question?
I think it's all about like who is in our environment, like how we were raised and who we are. It's like this is I think a good example. Like a friend of mine bought an iPad for his parents some time ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, and he said that he's logging from time to time to their YouTube account to like watch different videos. So the suggested videos they have are a little bit different and not one-sided. And I think that's on these big companies, on these big platforms, that the way the algorithm works is that once you find this rabbit hole, sometimes it's very hard to go out. It's like
Yeah.
and also it's important to notice that in the comments, once certain narrative is more strong in the comments, you kind of start to believe it. Like if the video, for example, if someone makes a gaming video, let's say, and he have someone who hates him and he's against him, and he sends his fans to criticize another creator, and majorly the comments are negative, your outlook on the video could change. Because
Indeed.
if you see 90% of the comments that say that this video is bad, like why are you gonna think it's good? Like you don't want to be this guy, against everyone else.
In fact, I heard a theory that the reason YouTube disabled the public thumbs down button was because politicians were becoming very annoyed that their propaganda wasn't working, because the public just saw right through it, thumbed it down, and it was clear. Or, of course, you could buy thumbs down.
Yeah, I think like if we talk about bots with the rise of AI and chatbots and stuff like that, I've already seen messages. Sometimes probably I've seen these messages and I don't recognize it's like bot accounts, but I've already got like ads made by bots in a way of that it was a conversation. Like the guy said, like, listen, you can earn money from this, and there was another comment like, oh, I've attended this course, it's great. And another person is writing like, oh, what's the price? And you have whole conversation made in 5 minutes from 5 different accounts. That's
Yeah.
clearly fake. But this is easy to notice. How many times it's unnoticeable? This is hard to say. Another problem I see is that people, I think, either try to force narrative or don't watch the videos from the beginning to the end. And talking about the video, talking about the video,
thumbnail.
yeah, talking about the video I've made, it's like in this video I'm telling, for example, that of course, different countries use the same tactics. And there was some election in France happening, not in France, sorry, in Africa. And France and Russia, on both sides, were trying to influence these elections online. And I'm talking about it. And the guy is like, oh, so it's only Russia who is doing that. And like giving him, timestamp of like, no, it's not. But we are talking about this now because the war started. So I want you to be careful about what you are gonna see or read in the future. So this is the topic of the video, but I've talked about this here. And this guy was, of course, mumbling something that trying to say that this video should be about everyone, but sorry, that was the topic of the video.
Indeed. In a moment, we're going to move to the next chapter to discuss how AI will create a very unusual world for YouTubers. But before we do that, I'd like to know, what rabbit hole are you in when it comes to propaganda? Can you see it?
Yeah, but this is like by choice. Sometimes sometimes I try to kind of track fake news, and I try to watch these accounts who are clearly doing like some kind of narrative. For example, like extreme Christian propaganda. This is like a very interesting thing because there are people in the Catholic Church who are saying that Pope Francis is an antichrist and stuff like that. So sometimes for fun, I watch it, just see like what they are doing and what kind of things they are saying. And it's crazy that, it's like, maybe I would check them like once a quarter or something and watch some videos just for fun, let's say. And then I see the algorithm is like pumping me these videos for a week and like watch it. And of course I'm not watching anymore, and it stops. So it's something I would say that I'm checking just for fun and like to see what these people have to say and how they manipulate their opinions. But yeah, so this, I think that the way like I see like how they're creating these narratives, and like in the comments what's happening, it's crazy on these channels.
Artificial intelligence. I saw that you recently created a video with the help or the, I don't know if you can call it help of AI.
Yeah, I would say like using AI. I've made a video when I'm showing like the how Polish king are looking by AI based on the Polish paintings by Jan Matejko.
And how were the results as compared to something that you would script and write yourself?
Yeah, so I wrote this video, I wrote the script, but when it comes to the effect, I think it looks really good, and it's problematic. Like the whole AI thing is gonna shape in the future with the lawmakers, that's for sure. Because the way it works right now, for people who don't know, it's like the AI image generators are taking plenty of images, like thousands of images or even millions from the internet, and they're making their own image based on that. And this is problematic because these creators, people who made these images the AI is taking, didn't approve it. And that's really problematic because what you can do is you can write, make me an image of Ryan in style of someone, and this someone didn't approve to take his images. And this is a huge issue, and I hope it's going to change in the future. For now, of course, I'm testing that. I don't want this to be some kind of main focus for me. I think this technology is not going to leave us in the future, but I hope that lawmakers are going to make it legal in a way that people are not going to feel cheated. From what I was reading, there is similar thing made for music, but the industry worked in a way, like the big music companies, that it's not public, first of all, and not every music is available for it. And there was, I'm not sure about that, I don't want to spread some fake news, but that some websites already kind of set some websites that are that have artist profiles that have like different artists on their in their database. They said that this can't be used in these AI systems. So it's possible. It's possible to quit.
Are you concerned that it's going to make you irrelevant, though? If AI can script a video and potentially do a voiceover, choose the images, where is your place as a YouTube creator?
So someone's gonna manage it, that's for sure. Like it's not gonna happen on its own. And with this, I think like with the tools that are showing up, it's important to be up to date and know how to use them, because they're not gonna go away. It's not. I think this is not a phase. Let's say it's not gonna be something that people are gonna use for a week and then forget about it. It's going to be more and more influential. So it's important to know how to use it. If I would be studying journalism now, I would certainly not copy stuff from AI, but I would learn how to use it to improve what I'm writing about. Because of course, if you're writing like a serious article, you don't want AI to write it. But if you write something about like if the shops are open this Sunday, then like why not use it? It's saving time.
Translation: I've made 1,000 YouTube videos. I've had it. Please make the AI good enough so that I don't have to do this anymore. Yeah, is that what you meant to say?
Yeah, and this is the thing. Like, if you can use it, and if you know how to use it, and you use it right, why not save time? It's like we are kind of in this moment, when in the past you had an electric chainsaw, and you were still saying like, "Oh, mine is good." But after months of using the manual labor, you've decided to buy something new, and you realize that it's good. It's like with email or computers.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we're slowly wrapping up here, but before we go, I'd like to, if you'd allow me to, ask a couple of, let's say, personal, maybe even uncomfortable questions. Artur, you are very famous for speaking in a specific way. I believe that taxi drivers, if they watch the show, would recognize your voice just from the way that you speak. It's quite unique. How has that been for you in the comments section and in life in general?
So right now people think I'm paid troll from Ukraine.
Oh, God.
Seriously, it's like, I don't know why I'm born and raised in Poland. I've even, like, in one video, I've showed my DNA test results. But people, I think this is what I'm talking about. It's like seeing, spies everywhere, seeing that everything is paid for. It's like, seriously, I've got so many comments of like, "Oh, you have Eastern accent. I wonder why is that?" And I've never realized I have Eastern accent in Polish. So that's a surprise for me. But if comments like that are showing up, this is what I'm talking about. This is like, I'm gonna start asking questions if this video is legit. Like, no matter that this guy is giving like the source of the information he's talking about, like, no, like, I'm gonna catch this. And probably if I'm gonna like even write to this person that, listen, I was born here, I was going to this school or that school, you can check my even DNA test results or like my family tree. Like, it's not gonna help with their opinion, I guess.
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel any better, when I first moved to Poland, I couldn't speak Polish, so communication was a problem. But then I learned, and everyone said, "Wow, that's amazing. Where are you from?" I never even met a foreigner who speaks Polish. And now, like, if I have to call the bank or whatever, they're like, "Oh, give me a moment, I'll connect you to the Ukrainian line." Everyone just automatically assumes that I'm from Ukraine because I speak with an accent. So I guess that we can be bonded through that.
Yeah, for me it's funny because it's something new. Like, I'm doing this for 8 years, and it's only half year since these comments started to show up. And seriously, it's like at least one a week like that. So that was a huge surprise for me.
My next question, you seemed a little bit tired when I was speaking to you before we went live here. And you told me that you actually felt nervous to go live, which was hilarious to me because you do every year this Topowa performance live.
Oh, not anymore. Not anymore.
Fair enough. You've been in stadiums, yeah, in front of thousands of fans live. So is stage fright still a thing? Does that just not go away?
It's a lot different if you record for the TV with different person each time, and when you record, in a safe space and comfort of your own room. So that's for sure. And especially that when I was younger, I had really huge problems with public speaking. I think it's much better now, but yeah, that stays. And probably, it's thing you can practice. For a long time, I was going for meetings with clients from like different companies, and first I was a little bit stressed, but after fifth time, you forget. So yeah, it's still a thing, and you can clearly see that if you watch shows with like online creators in like traditional TV, the first episodes are always going to be a little bit rough.
Yeah, well, I've never really had an issue with public speaking. However, and I'm sure you've seen this on me before, my one tell is that I'll get like kind of this, it almost looks like a rash on my neck, So in TV, I always tell them like put a lot of makeup there so no one knows that I'm nervous, or I'll hide it. So we all kind of have our different ways of dealing with that. But it's always amusing to me when someone who's like, just your videos alone were probably viewed by hundreds of millions of times. Arguably the majority of Polish people have heard your voice at some point, and yet you've still managed to stay humble. And just one last note on the public speaking bit, and I should post a picture of this maybe. Well, actually, there probably is a picture of this on the Instagram. Do you remember when we went to Qatar and gave those workshops? The first workshop was quite normal, right? It was like kind of corporate, fancy place. And the next day, we did a presentation in a house for the deaf, I think they called it. And you were really pretty uncomfortable. Why were you uncomfortable in that situation? Can we go down memory lane?
Yeah, of course. So we've got translator who translated. We've got actually two translators, and there was one person translating from English to Arabic, and another person translating from Arabic to sign language. And at first, I've tried to speak sentence by sentence, but it was too fast for them. And when you speak too slow, you start to lose your flow and you forget what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, at one point you said, Ryan, I don't think I can do this. I got to sit it out. And
I think I didn't even know what I was talking about.
Yeah. Well, the main source of stress was the director of the institution. He was like this really conservative Qatari guy, and he was just giving us the devil eyes. I remember I told everyone I'm from the United States, and whenever I announced that in Qatar at these workshops, there was like this, the people didn't really know, should we be happy about this? Is this a negative thing? But that guy in particular, I don't think he liked me. I don't think he liked YouTube. I don't think he liked what we were about. But if you remember, he left, and the ladies there brought us those cookies and tea. And I got to tell you, until this very day, it's, I think, one of my favorite memories of adventures we've had from YouTube, like hands down. It was just so unusual.
Yeah, and it's something that's showing that YouTube is something international, and for different countries and different people, it can really open up the world, let's say. Like it's big words, but I think like what online video changed is like changing the whole media. Before that, a lady who was listening to us, she couldn't like reach millions, and right now, who knows? Maybe one of them is a big star now.
Indeed. So Artur, as we get ready to bid you a farewell, let me know what you have in store. Not just for Topowa Dycha, but your other ambitions, and what awaits this great life of yours.
Yeah, so I'm still gonna produce like videos as I do, and with the plans I have for next year is just to make like good content that's like still relevant and like informative. I'm really happy and grateful for people who are watching me, not only because they are still with me, but because they allow me to touch these more serious topics from time to time. At first, I was taking this like more serious direction on some videos, of course, not every video. I was afraid that it's gonna be for a niche, but when I talk about, let's say, modern slavery and it's watched by 100,000 people, I think like I'm doing something good. That it's usually probably a lot of people wouldn't click that, but because they watch it between these entertaining videos, they watch it from beginning to the end, and they can learn something like sad, informative, but important.
Well, certainly. I mean, your videos are brilliant. You're a very positive person, and I also want to thank you, and thank you publicly. I don't know if I've ever done that, because I certainly wouldn't have reached any kind of status in Polish media if not you. Just kind of like, insider's story. I was living in Warsaw in 2012, I believe it was, and I received an email from a guy named Artur Filipowicz, and I looked in this email. It was from Wirtualna Polska, which is the huge web portal here. It was very relevant at the time, and Artur invited me down for an interview, and I came. It was, what was the name of that program? Pollywood?
Polandia.
Polandia, that's right. And I was not at a high point in my life when we did the interview. So I just I gave it all. It was just like, I didn't try to show off. I didn't try to pretend I was someone accomplished. But your questions really, probably because you studied journalism, they were probing in just the right way. I left this interview, and like a few weeks later, next thing I know, boom, I'm on the cover of this web portal. It's a photo of me and Michał Wisniewski. And do you remember the title? How you guys clickbaited that?
Yeah, that's not on me. I just recorded, and when other guys took it over, they made a title called "He Spent the Night with Michał Wisniewski."
Yeah, that's right. And in fact,
you feel so embarrassed when you film someone and you're nice to someone, and then you lose the control of the video, and stuff like that is happening.
Dude, I didn't know how to feel, because I wanted to have this musical career. Up to that point, I was a musician. I didn't know the first thing about TV, nor did I care for it, actually. And but the fact that you guys did that to me, I remember, like, I was walking in Park Polomokotowska, and people coming and saying hello. I was working actually at a language school at the time. Not even a language school, it was a public school, as like a part-time native speaker. And everyone there had seen this. And I felt really embarrassed because it looked scandalous. But importantly, it showed me the power that online video could have. You don't need to be in the TV, and you don't need to follow the old rule book that your film school teachers who rejected you uphold. And so that was really the beginning to everything. Mediacraft, Cult America, whatever came next. So I thank you for that. You're a dear friend, and I really wish you well, Artur.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was my good friend Artur Filipowicz. You should check out his channel if by some bizarre chance you don't already know it. He's got a second channel called Everyman, which deals with men's lifestyle. I hope that will be an equally large success. Make sure you hit subscribe to Cult America, thumbs up, share the video, all that jazz. We are going to be making more live videos like this with my friends from Poland and beyond.